The MicroStrategy platform supports interactive dashboards, scorecards, highly formatted reports, ad hoc query, threshold alerts, and automated report distribution. So if I really look from the MicroStrategy BI tool, it's not only that you're generating that you're just executing the reports and the dashboards to see the data. It's like it supports various interactive dashboards, various widgets. There are a lot of interactivity that you can in your data, and that you can add within the dashboards to analyze the data. You can even have something as a thresholds and the alerts, like, okay, I want to set up some limit. If the revenue value exceeds certain amount, I want to show some different kind of a formatting. Every such implementations can be done within the MicroStrategy tool. You can even have an automation report distribution, like it's say every morning I want this report to be sent out to the higher executive management. Even that is possible. So it's not that you are doing it only analyzing the data, you're just restricting with the execution of dashboards. There are a lot of interactivity that you can add. There are a lot of automations that you can add within your BI tool. The MicroStrategy BI suites is provided with the in-memory BI acceleration technology. So now you have lots of OLAP features that you can even use it within your reporting tool. Now, why MicroStrategy? Okay, we understand there are a lot of other tools also which are available in the market. Why you have to go with the MicroStrategy? What does the MicroStrategy offers extra that is compared to the other BI tools? The very important few points that I have listed over here is the automated maintenance, immediate application development and deployment, multi-dimensional data source support, quick startup of new application, and there is also expanded geo-mapping capabilities. And these are the really good feature which makes the MicroStrategy BI suite distinguishes itself from its previous versions and the other vendors. So there are a lot of components that comes along with the MicroStrategy, which will allow you to do some kind of maintenance, the status escalations, the automations, and also even if I come up from the setup perspective, it's very quick. So we have something called as quick install, which I have something called as custom install, which will really help the individuals to have the MicroStrategy install at the server level or at the individual level. MicroStrategy also supports the geo-mapping capabilities, which will allow to have the different geo-mapping widgets that can be embedded within your dashboards. The MicroStrategy's ROLAP architecture allows the user to drill anywhere. So it's not that you're restricting the data to see at only one level. At a runtime, you execute the report at some A level, but once the report has been executed, you can just perform the drilling across, drill up, drill down. Any kind of a drilling can be supported by the MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy has optimizations for all major relation database and data warehouse vendors, and can also access multi-dimensional databases and flat files. So MicroStrategy has also widened its support with respect to the underlying database. So they have not restricted any such to a limited database environment. Any database you have that can be connected to the MicroStrategy. So basically it's independent of what kind of a database that you really have your warehouse. MicroStrategy supports every and almost everything. Now, this is just the basic prerequisite, I would say, like who all can learn MicroStrategy. A MicroStrategy is not someone who's only focusing for the experienced guys. MicroStrategy can be learned by anyone over here. So either you just need to have the prerequisites, just that you need to have some basic SQL knowledge, because if I really work in the data warehouse environment, I really need to understand how the SQL structure is. So just the basic SQL, not much you're going to do any kind of a coding or any kind of, you're not going to write any kind of high-end database functions. Just the basic SQL, just the basic select statements and what are the various components of the SQL makes the difference in the while fetching the data. So just the basic SQL knowledge, you do not have to be much technically involved, and even over here there is no kind of a coding which is required to learn MicroStrategy. So either you're a fresher, you're just a student who has pursued his a degree, or there are some experienced folks who want to switch on to technology. Everyone can learn MicroStrategy. So it's you really do not need to have any kind of a prior background knowledge of the data warehousing or any such things. Any person in the industry can learn MicroStrategy. Okay, so before we go ahead, I just want to take a pause over here. Any questions so far that you want to discuss over here, please let me know. Okay, I have a question over here. Is ROLAP unique to MSTR? MicroStrategy, yes, it's a relational OLAP. So yes, I will not say it's only limited to MicroStrategy. There are various other tools as well, but yes, the MicroStrategy is the one which really supports the high-end ROLAP functionality, and it makes really helpful to get the data, to analyze the data from the different angle perspective. So if you want to see the data from different dimensions across the dimensions that you have in your warehouse, MicroStrategy does supports everything. So the main thing is that what kind of data you need and how much time it's going to take to get back the data. This is something that MicroStrategy is on top. You can request for any kind of a data at any level, but yes, even the time that it's going to take for the execution and for the fetching of the data is really good. So now you really don't have the users to wait for a longer period of time to just get a span of a data for the across the dimensions. Okay, all right. Now, just to make you familiarize with the MicroStrategy, I have just listed on few of the dashboards, few of the sample dashboards that we do have in MicroStrategy. Don't worry, these are just for the sample representations. There are much more interactivity that you can really add into your dashboards. So if you really look over here, this is one dashboard which is not giving the data just in the standard format, right? As of now, either we display as a grid or a graph. But if you really look over here, which is displaying the top 10 world airports, it is giving me the information, lots of information as per a very good, the combination of the grids and graphs with the different linkings over here. So if you look over here on the top section, which is displaying the top 10 world airports, along with that, you can clearly see over here, it is showing me the trend analysis, it is the total passenger count, and the passengers count for the trailing 12 months. So there are a lot of information along with the comparison metrics that have been displayed over here. So if in case you want to see the percentage change year on year or versus the international passengers, all information is well listed over here. If you really look at the bill section, it is displaying the more information about the airports that you select. So from the top end, I can select any airports. If I select London, it's going to give me the more information about the Londons. I will definitely show you the real-time dashboard, but this is just for the presentational view where I want to make you understand what kind of an interactive dashboards that you can really build up within the MicroStrategy. Similarly, we have even added a few more samples that I really want you to walk through so that you get a better taste of what kind of a dashboards we do have within this particular BI tool. This particular BI dashboard is giving me more information about the customer regional analysis. So now it gives me what is the contract value, what is the the sales that is happening based on the region by month, and also which are my new customers or the which are my older customers who I have lost across the months and the year. So this gives me a more information about the region and the customer analysis. And if you really look over here, I can see the trends, how my monthly region sales is performing. I can even see which are my new customers, what is the count of my new customers which have been added throughout the time series, as well as how many customers I have lost during the same period of time. So what I'm trying to make you understand over here that the MicroStrategy dashboard is not limited to one subject area. Now either it's a customer analysis, it's an airport information, it's an statements, it's across all the domains that MicroStrategy does supports it, and you can create any kind of a dashboard as per your requirement. The one that you're seeing over here, it's purely from the finance perspective, which gives me the more information about the revenue and income analysis. So I can really do some kind of a pro forma analysis where I can just change some of the metrics over here. If you look over here, I have revenue, cost of revenue, selling cost, and so on. So if I make the changes, what's going to be impact to my future metrics, even that kind of analysis can be done over here. So it's something like if and then, like okay, if my revenue increases by some amount, what would be the impact to its gross profit or the net income and so on. So this is all going to be happening on the fly. So it always allows you to predict some kind of values if in case I concentrate on one of the metrics that I have in my dashboard. So even such kind of an analysis is been supported by MicroStrategy tool. Now this gives me this is one more sample dashboard which gives me the information about the some Department of Transportation. If you really look on the left hand side, it gives me a very interactive selector which will allow me to select the department, and based on that, all my metrics that are present in my dashboard gets reflected accordingly. So it's if you really look over here, there are a lot of information that you can display within the same dashboard page, a lot of information along with a lot of interactivity within the document. This is also that we have something as more specific to the HR director scorecard. So if you really look over here, the entire dashboard is giving me much more information from the HR perspective. So what are the HR survey results, what are the various KPI, either I'm meeting the whatever the predictions that I have, whether I'm meeting the targets or not, what are the transfers, internal transfers that have been happening within the region. So all the HR related informations have been incorporated, and if you really look over here, it's not a standard format in which the data has been displayed. There are a lot of interactivity, there are a lot of alerts that are also been displayed within the dashboard page. So this just by looking at the dashboard, it gives you a very enterprise level of data, and you can really analyze the data very quickly and make the decisions which is going to helpful for your organization. Now, the next question over here is going to be like, okay, I understand the MicroStrategy supports all kind of dashboards, all kind of data, but where all MicroStrategy is used? If you ask me, the MicroStrategy as of now, as of today, it's been present across almost all the domains. Either you take a retail section, you take a banking section, you take a telecom section, you take a healthcare section. MicroStrategy has been used everywhere. So it's not that it only supports the enterprise data, it only supports the kind of a summary data. No, MicroStrategy has been MicroStrategy, like whatever the data that you have within your warehouse, whatever the business areas you're working with, MicroStrategy is present over there. So even if I'm working for the banking domain, and the best tool that I can say is that which can help me from the reporting perspective is MicroStrategy. So MicroStrategy is used almost across all the domains, and trust me, it really gives me the data very quick. But of course, that also depends upon how you have built your warehouse. But yes, there are a lot of things that you can incorporate within your reports and the dashboards, which is going to add much more value to it. Even if I look from the job opportunity perspective, there are really good opportunities across the globe. Either it's a US, UK, Singapore, India, APAC countries, Germany, everywhere. So if you really look from the MicroStrategy job perspective, so now if you're someone who really want to pursue their job across the location, MicroStrategy is something that you can learn it out, and definitely you can search for a job across the locations across the globe, and that would really help you to enhance your career. Okay, before we even discuss on the costing part, I will again take a pause over here. Please feel free to ask me if in case you have any question over here. Okay, I'll take that as no, so we are good. Now, MicroStrategy is really a costly tool. There are a lot of licenses that you really have to purchase it if in case you want to work within you want to have your MicroStrategy set up within the organization. So this is just at very high level that I have shown you the costing of the licenses. This might vary based on the way you purchase it. Either it's based on the per user, or it's going to be based on the per CPU. So that all depends on what all components that you really purchase it, what are licenses that you really want to have it within your organization. If you look over here, so this is just a slide where I'm just trying to make you understand from the costing and the licensing perspective. So MicroStrategy does comes up along with the various variants. Either you want to just have the desktop, you need to have the web architecture, you need to have a mobile, or you need to have the architect license as well. So if you really look over here, there are a lot of components that does comes along with the MicroStrategy, and as per your requirement and as per your whatever the environment that you want to set up, You can buy the individual component as the for the individual I would say the per named user, or you can buy it as a per CPU core. So just to give an example over here, if I'm going with the desktop licenses, I really need to have to pay around like $600 per user. So based on the number of users that I'm going to allow it to access the MicroStrategy desktop, for those many individuals I have to pay. Or else I can even go with the a CPU core processor. In n number of users, I'm good with it. I'm just going to buy it as an entire CPU core. And if I really go with the the web architecture and the mobile architecture, I have to pay around like $300K per CPU core. So this is all depends upon how many number of users you really have it, and either you're gonna decide either I have to go with the per name user license, or I can directly go with the per CPU core. This is not from the architect or the developer perspective, but more as in from the organization perspective, how they really purchase the license and how they really set up the MicroStrategy environment within the company. So there are a few licenses that are listed over here. I have desktop, web, mobile, architect, and I also have something called a server. So of course, when you're working in an organization, you're going to have the one MicroStrategy server, and throughout you're going to have the remote machines which have been connecting to that server, so that all the folks can access the environment, all the folks can work in the development and architect. So yeah, the server also really it's something it's really costly, and it's a full feature server, I would say, which is designed to connect to multiple data sources, so that it can support all the analytics, and it can scale to hundreds of thousands of users. So basically you have to really put in good amount of money to have the the MicroStrategy server set it up. The next thing that I wanted to discuss over here is more about the MicroStrategy architecture. Okay, there are 5 styles of BI applications that have been included within the MicroStrategy tool. So I really want to make you understand over here what are the analysis that you can really do it within the MicroStrategy. So it's not only that you're seeing the data, but yes, it's including the data mining and the advanced analysis. So there are a lot of the mining activities that you can do within this particular tool, and there are a lot of advanced analysis which you really help you to understand what are the trends and what are the hidden values that have been there within your the dimensions and the facts for which you are looking at the reports or the dashboards. So you can perform the detailed summary, any kind of an analysis within this particular tool. It also supports the visual and the OLAP analysis. As we say, the OLAP, it's in like online analytical processing, which does not add a load to your databases. So it's all the analysis which have been done on the fly, and we really have the analytical engine which can support any kind of a request on the fly, and it will really give you the data within a short span of time. It is an enterprise reporting where you do the entire reporting at the enterprise level. You can create n number of dashboards, and the scorecards very interactive. It also supports the visuals, which is the USP, I would say, of the MicroStrategy dashboards. You can even have your MicroStrategy dashboard view from your mobile devices. There are like either it's an iPad, iPhone, it's an Android device, any kind of mobile device that you have. MicroStrategy, we do have an application where it can just route to your MicroStrategy server, and you can definitely access your reports and the dashboards from the mobile devices as well. You can even have your customized alerts that can be set it up within the tool, so that you're up to date with the recent data. The MicroStrategy architecture is very easy to use, and it's a very kind of a self-service. So there is an unparalleled usability and self-service that any business user for any business user on any user interface. It's a highest user scalability from expert. It serves around like hundreds to thousands of people very efficiently. There are also the plug-and-play components that comes up along with the MicroStrategy. So it's a very small and incrementally grow using one or combinations of BI styles. MicroStrategy also offers the highest report scalability. So it's if in case there is a rapid report development through reuse with one report design serving many users. There is a lot of non kind of a static reports that you cater in MicroStrategy, but yes, there are a lot of interactive and very different kind of reports. You just have to create as a one standard template, and that can definitely serve my hundreds to thousands of customers, where user can have their own selection during a runtime, and based on the selection, whatever the data they are requesting for, only that set of data can be displayed to the users. It also offers the high-end security if in case you want to make sure that I want to enter, I want to create a secure environment, like based on your login, only I want to see the specific set of data. Even that is possible. So if the user has if the user A needs to have an access to only the USA data, we can even set up such kind of an environment. So it's a reliable data. It's an whatever the restrictions or whatever the security you want to implement, even that can be done within the tool. It also offers the automated report maintainability, where you have your dynamic metadata architecture, which ensures that the changes ripple through all the reports automatically. So if in case it's a kind of lot of objects can be reused within your tool, so that if I make the changes in one object, that will be definitely reflected in all the other objects or the reports where you have used it. So you really don't have to go and manually do it. There is also something where where you can make a change in one object, it's going to automatically reflect to the objects which are dependent on it. So you can really pass it on the because of the dynamic metadata architecture. As I said, we have already discussed about the security and user administration. I also wanted to discuss, it does offers the high performance and non-stop operations and the central administration. Accessing the data from across the enterprise to the depth and the breadth of the databases, as we have understand, it's a kind of an ROLAP architecture. And once you get the data within your report, you can just do the analysis on the fly across the multiple dimensions. You're not restricting the data from the user perspective to see it only at one angle, but you can just have your own view, and you can just perform the drill up, drill down, drill across, and you can see the data at any level that you want to see within your enterprise. Okay, this is just at very high level, like how all the components are going to be been interacting with the MicroStrategy. So we have certain developer tools within the MicroStrategy. We do have certain administration tools, and if you really look over here, we have the backend components as well as the front-end components. On the left hand side, whatever the things that we have mentioned over here, these are all the developer tools which you will be having access to, and you're going to thoroughly work under this particular tools if you're working as a developer or the architect. So I have something called as MicroStrategy Desktop or MicroStrategy Developer, where your 90% of development is going to take place. You have something called as Web Professional, when you want to design your reports which can be accessed from MicroStrategy Web. And if in case you really want to do some kind of a customization, MicroStrategy also offers the SDK piece to it. There are various components, there are various admin components that does comes along with the MicroStrategy, which will allow you to maintain your environment. So I have something called as Enterprise Manager, Command Manager, Object Manager, and so on, which will really help you to do all the admin related activities. So if in case you want to migrate your objects, you want to collect your statistics, you want to write some customization scripts which will do some automation, everything can be done over here. And the MicroStrategy really comes along with the different tools which can perform the different admin activities. MicroStrategy is not only restricted to the web portion, I would say. You can even configure on your MicroStrategy or the Microsoft Office products, even on the MicroStrategy mobile has been available. So if in case you want to create some presentations or the Word or the Excel documents which can access the MicroStrategy environment, even that is possible. So it's just a plugin which you have to deploy in your Microsoft Excel, Word, or the PowerPoint, and through that you can access your MicroStrategy reports and embed in your documents over here, so that whenever you run your presentation, let's say for an example, whenever you run your presentation, the presentation will give you the up-to-date information as per the data that is present in your database. I can even access the MicroStrategy reports from my mobile device. So as I said, either it's an iOS, it's an Android, it's a BlackBerry. MicroStrategy does support all the mobile devices. So you just have to log in into the application, access your environment, and the report data is in front of you. So there are various products through which you can access your MicroStrategy. As I said, it's either the Microsoft Office, the browsers, the MicroStrategy Web, or the MicroStrategy Mobile. So this is at very high level. like what all the components we do have, and through all which all interfaces you can really access your environment. Just to make you understand over here, it's more from the architecture perspective. When we work as a 3-tier or when we work as a within the 4-tier architecture. So when I say a 3-tier, there is only a one MicroStrategy server which has been installed. That is the intelligence server, where you can just log in through MicroStrategy developer tool and you can access the environment and run the dashboards. If in case you want to make it available from the web browser perspective, you also need to have a web server component which is also called as 4-tier mode, which can be configured within your organization so that the end users or whatever the business users want to run the report, they can access it from the MicroStrategy web. So they just have to log into the web URL and the environment is available to them. So just to show you the environment over here, the one which you are seeing right now is the MicroStrategy desktop. Okay, so this is the MicroStrategy desktop, or you can even say as the MicroStrategy developer, where you just have, where I would say 95 to 97% of your architect and development work will be done over here. So I can just log in into one of the server. I have to authenticate myself, and once the authentication is successful, I can access my environment. I can create and develop n number of objects to build up my required reports and the dashboards. So it's very simple. I just have to drag and drop the objects. At no point of time you have to write any kind of a SQL as such. MicroStrategy is very intelligent and powerful enough to generate its own SQL and get the required set of data. So if I really just create one sample report for you, okay, I'm doing it from the MicroStrategy desktop. Okay, so I've just said create new report, and I already have the existing objects that we have created within this environment. So once I create new report, I just have to drag and drop into my report and data is in front of me. So it's not that you're really going to write any kind of a query as such, it's just the drag and drop. Okay, so I'll just try to add some objects over here. Now let's say I'm interested to see the data based on the regional. So I would say I'm interested to see the data by region, by year, and I'm just interested to see the revenue data. Okay, so I've pulled in some objects over here which will give me the regional year sales, and if I execute this dashboard, you will see at the back end my query has been generated and the data is in front of me. So within few period of time, you can just see that the data has been fetched so quickly. If in case you want to see what is the SQL generated at the back end, we do have an option where you can even understand, okay, this is what the SQL has been generated to get me the required set of data. I have not written any kind of a SQL over here. We have just created the objects, and based on the objects that I use in the report, MicroStrategy server generates the SQL for me, and based on that my data has been fetched. This is an interface. As I said, it's a developer interface where your entire architect and development will happen. We do have something called as MicroStrategy Web, so that if in case you have your web server which has been deployed, I just have to log in into into my corresponding URL, and that will route it to me the MicroStrategy Web interface. So if it's the same thing. I will just log in into the MicroStrategy Web. I will authenticate myself, and I can just go and execute my dashboards and the reports. Remember two things over here. The MicroStrategy Web is purely for the end user perspective. You really cannot create all kind of objects from MicroStrategy Web. Not possible. And that's the reason there is something called as developer tool, where you have to log in and create all your reports and all the architect objects and the application objects. So the developer interface is something where you're going to build up your entire environment, and for the end users or the business users, I'm going to make it available via MicroStrategy Web. This is what normally all the organization does follow. So I'll quickly authenticate myself, and once the authentication is successful, I can access my environment, I can access my dashboard, and I can do my data analysis. So we'll just wait. Okay, here we go. Once my authentication is successful, I can just log in into the environment, and I will just run one sample report for you. So I'll go to one of the dashboards that I have shown you in the presentation. which is the top 10 airports. Okay. And here we go. So if you look over here, this was the one of the dashboard that I have shown in my presentation. And let's say if I click on any one of the airports over here, below is the interactivity that has been added. Whatever the airport you select, in the below section, that's going to display me the more information about the airport. So it does disclose me the textual descriptions about that particular airports, and it also shows me the monthly breakdowns. If I go to some historical trends, altogether different set of information with a different formatting that has been added over here. It does have a flexibility where I can select the chart type at the runtime. So if I want to see as a line chart, I click on the line chart and my line chart has been displayed. If I click on the bubble grid, it's going to show me the bubble grid. Lots of selectors that you can add over here based on your preferences. I can just select the airports for which I want to see the data. So a lot of interactivity has been added over here, and as every user will have their own way to do the analysis. So that all depends upon your requirement, but this is just for your sample representation that I wanted to discuss with you, what kind of a dashboards we do have it in MicroStrategy tool. Okay, so coming back over here, and as we see that, okay, this is something with respect to the architect and developer. As I have already shown you the desktop interface, and that is something where you're going to make sure you develop all your architect and development objects. There's also something administration activities that you can do. As I have discussed, there are various admin tools which comes along with the MicroStrategy. So either you want to fine-tune your reports, I want to incorporate the data security, the user security, the authentication, managing the license in the projects, and I want to do the report tuning. All is possible within the MicroStrategy tool. So it's not only restricted to getting the data, but any kind of an administration, even that is possible within the MicroStrategy VI tool. So as we have already I've already discussed that what are the admin components which comes along with the tool. So we have something called a system manager, which will allow you to create the multiple workflows to do some kind of an automation activities. Command manager is something that which allows you to write the scripts where certain functionality can be performed or certain tasks can be executed. I have something integrity manager. It's an automated tool to do the comparisons of your reports across the environment. Enterprise manager is something which is going to give me some kind of a statistic information, and health center is just that if in case you want to fix or diagnose the problem within the system. So there are other tools as well that we do have along with the MicroStrategy as an admin component, but that is something which we can discuss in detail later. The MicroStrategy dashboard I have with some examples, and trust me, there are various display modes through which you can have your dashboards executed. These are for the previous versions for the 9.4 up till 9.4.x, but there are some modes, there are some display modes which has been got removed from 10.x. So for the 10.x, we just have a 3 modes that you can run your dashboards. Either it's going to be editable mode, something called as presentation mode, and the design mode. So we do not have any kind of a flash mode or the express mode available anymore from 10.x version. Okay, and the last thing that I want to really discuss is about the mobile. As I said, the MicroStrategy does supports the mobile application. So you just have to install the application on your mobile device, and you have to, of course, you have to do some kind of configurations at the back end. So you just click on the application, it will route to your MicroStrategy server, and you can directly just execute your reports and the dashboards, and the data will be in front of you. So the MicroStrategy, I will not say it's only restricted to your desktop. MicroStrategy is everywhere, and you can definitely perform any kind of I would say the SDK piece as well. If in case you want to do any kind of a customization, you can create your own applications which you can integrate with the MicroStrategy as well. So a lot of interactivity, a lot of detail analysis, a lot of customization, All such things are really been offered by the MicroStrategy. Okay, so but this I would say that this is something that we really wanted to discuss from the MicroStrategy perspective, and I'm just going to open the line for every one of you, and if in case you have any question, any doubts, any concern, please feel free to ask me. Okay, I have a question from Kamran, and it says that will this training be sufficient for certification? To answer your query over here, MicroStrategy offers lots of certification. Okay, it's not only one certification that we have. We have something as a project designer, report designer, document designer, administration, and there are a lot of other certifications that's available. Now, first of all, it depends what kind of training you're enrolled for. So just give in detail about it. We have two kind of trainings, one which going to focus on the architect and development, another is purely for the admin perspective. If you're looking from the architect and development perspective, we're going to make sure that you understand each and everything from the scratch, and you can build up to the high-end reports and the dashboards. Definitely suffice you the certification if you're looking from the project designer, report designer, or the document designer. There is one more training which we're going to focus on the admin, and you can appear for the certification as well. So yes, I would say the training will really help you from the certification as well, but yes, of course, you have to put in your own efforts to get to know how exactly my environment and how exactly I can do within my MicroStrategy tool, and by that I think you should be good to clear the certification as well. Does that answer your query? Sure. Okay. I have one more question. I need to install the MicroStrategy developer and remote desktop connection. So when you say that you need to install the MicroStrategy developer, once we start with the training, we're going to give you all the information that how you can access how you can install, I would say, how you can download and install the MicroStrategy software on your machine. We're going to provide you, there is an evaluation edition which is going to be valid for 30 days. You do not need to have a remote desktop connection. You can just install the machine on your, you can just install the software on your machine itself, and you can access the entire environment. So we will definitely guide you through that as well, so that once we kick off with the training, you can simultaneously practice and do the hands-on from your end as well. Perfect. Any other question, please? Okay, there's one more question. How about the analytics desktop? We're going to give you the enterprise, we're going to give you the access to the enterprise desktop, which will have everything. So you not have to restrict only to the analytics desktop where you can create the reports from the cube. No. We're going to give you the enterprise desktop, and you can utilize all the functionalities that we do have within the MicroStrategy tool. So you're going to have the desktop, you're going to have the web, and you can perform, you can even have an access to the admin components. So there should be no problem for accessing and using the environment. Okay, I think Kamran, okay, there are two questions over here. Do we need any prerequisite learning for this? As I've said in the presentation, that just a bit of knowledge about the SQL. That's it. This is just for if in case you want to do some kind of data testing. So I would prefer that you have at least some kind of knowledge about the SQL. Just a basic select statement. What are the components that we do have under the select statement? That should suffice. Rest all, I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to walk you through some of the data warehousing concepts. We're going to start it from the scratch. We will see how to set up the environment, how to create each and every object practically, and we will see at the end how we can create the reports and the dashboards. So I will not say that you really need to know everything about the data warehousing. Not needed. We're going to definitely take it step by step, and that will definitely guide you through the entire training. There's a second question over here. Along with all of the tools of MicroStrategy developer, yes, I mean once you install it, it will have all the tools of MicroStrategy as well. So you can install as per your requirements. So the installation that we're going to give it to you, it's an evaluation which has all the components, and you can select or deselect any of the components that you really need or not need in your machine. Okay, there's one more question over here. No need of installing any SQL related software. I would really not say we can use the Microsoft Access. At least we need one kind of database through which it can, it can perform the analysis. So I would say at least if you have Microsoft Access, that's going to be suffice. But if in case you want to do any kind of a POC where you want to interact with the SQL Server Oracle, you're free to do that. But if you have Microsoft Access, we are good. I hope all your queries are getting, solved out.